Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
All right, welcome. Here we are, three guys, many games. We're back for a great week of pro lacrosse analysis. We're past the All-Star break. I'm here with Rob Smalley and the GOAT, Vinny Sombrato. I'm Steve Sombrato. I'm going to take you through some of the games. How we doing, Smalls? How we doing this week?
Great. Unbelievable.
Yeah?
Unfortunately, I got so many things going on. I wanted to go see my boy Tillman, man. Love that guy. The Bill Belichick of lacrosse, but unfortunately, I didn't realize I'm going to be with Tom Schreiber, the Duke coach, at a wedding.
He's tapping out of Placid, Vin. Is that a tap out?
He's out of Placid. He's making a big announcement. He's out of Placid.
This is an announcement. This is a major announcement.
I'm very, very sad. And most important, I'm going to miss my family down there with you guys for the last few years. I'm really not happy about it.
The worst news since Biden pulled out. That small.
You're right.
My God.
Shame on me. You're right. I feel terrible. I'm going to miss all my friends down there. The family of the gunslinger, our dear friend, the cowboy, and his son, his daughter, and the crew making the meal. I'm going to have to write something up and send it your way. But I forgot that I had booked a trip with the wife, and we got invited to John Schott, a big wedding down there with the whole staff of Duke basketball. Mm-hmm. A famous girl who, Michaela Ryan, young girl, Irish girl. She's like 28 years old. She got a huge job, chief of staff at Duke basketball. And, I know the father, Terry, and I can't miss that, like that. It's a whole thing, and I forgot, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah, that's going to be a great event. And Terry, I haven't met Michaela. We dropped a note to her when we were down there last time in Durham. But
she's a wonderful kid, man, with Terry. He's got a son.
Terry's great person, attached to Hofstra for so long. Knew our brother-in-law, Artie Farley. He traveled with Artie to Final Four basketball games and the whole bit.
Yeah, he knows Terry great. He
was, Terry's just a salt-of-the-earth guy, really good guy.
His wife, he's got 3 daughters, 1 son, and they're down there. His first daughter getting married.
Nice.
And they gave her a job at Duke. What do they say? She was a very young girl. She went in there. She got a big, big job, and she's just an amazing person, amazing young man that she's going to marry. And, being that, I became really good friends with Terry, and it's at the Angus Barn, just how it sounds, like Black Angus Barn, a beautiful, beautiful place down in Durham. And we're staying at that famous hotel down there. It's so famous, I forgot the name, but you guys probably know what it is.
You're going to the WADU, the Washington Inn?
I think so. Cheryl
WADU.
knows it.
Yeah, good. You're going to have a great time. But we'll miss you. We'll miss you in Placid.
And look at the shape Vinny's in. The guy
he was actually inching closer to suiting up after Tash became the poster boy for at 30 years out of retirement. Tash looked like he's on the program for 2024 Lake Placid. So Smalls was getting the itch maybe to go in.
I would have loved to have been in this game. I see you guys.
That up so people can see that.
You guys do so much for the game. I would have loved to play when I was real young and in this game, because I really believe I would have been on the team with Vinny Sombrato on the world team, with him trying to make it at least. But, if I fail, I fail. But I see myself as being there. I always see myself.
Well, the start of it is you got to have confidence. That's for sure. Maybe you couldn't play, but you had the confidence.
Yeah. We're playing young. You got to start that.
Can you get this one? How
Let's
about now?
see. Oh, there he is. There's Tash.
There he is.
There he
There
is.
he is. Look.
Lake Placid 2024. Tash with the bucket helmet. Came out of retirement, dormant for 30 years. Came in, scored a couple goals in the first game to help the Garbage Gorillas get a victory. He played the second game, put a couple points up. And
I got to give him so much credit, Vinny, because I don't want to make fun of him, but I got to joke with him. He's a meatball away, and he went in there and scored 2 goals. I said he was a meatball away from a cardiac arrest. I mean, look at the guy. He looks like a fucking baboon.
I told you he was going to be able to do it. I told you he was going to be able
Oh,
to do
man, I give him credit, man. I give credit where it's due.
it.
He didn't
Well,
even have
that's kind of a backhanded compliment. In the one hand,
You're
you're
not
giving him
good.
credit.
Listen,
You call
in all due respect, I love you guys, but I got to pick you guys aren't really good friends. To throw somebody who's a meatball away, you guys are cheering, you can do it, you can do it. You want the guy to go in and have a fucking heart attack.
I don't want anybody to have
I
a
didn't
heart
say you did, but I'm saying you're
just
throwing
did.
the guy. No, but I'm saying you're throwing the guy into he's like 400 pounds.
He's
But I
not
can't-
100 pounds. What are you talking about? He's
He's
slimming
at
down. He's slimming down. The man got out there. He did his thing. He had a couple
You
of
gotta
goals.
say, listen, Smalls talked the big game, first team All American.
Yeah.
Ash got out there, Smalley didn't. Come on.
I wanted to be out there. Did you guys really get a helmet? I'll come for 2 days. I'll have somebody drive me.
No,
I'll take
no,
Uber.
not this year. We'll give you all of next
got
year
a whole year to
to
train.
get in shape.
Or
You
go
got.
Florida.
We
He's
could
gotta
bump
train
up.
for Florida.
You could bump up to the 65-year-old division next year. Take a few face-offs. Nobody's got the kind of strength you have. You got wrist strength like there's no tomorrow.
Thank you,
You
man.
got muscles, Listen, who could you train with Shami, who's a friend of the show. He came on. Between him and Joe Corello, they'll give you a little tune-up.
Oh, Joe's
and
a
you
good.
dominate.
I thought about Joe's a very good face-off guy.
Yes, that's what I'm
Let
saying.
me ask you a question. Well, I mean, I got to pick on you guys. You guys are, so if I start practicing with somebody like that, why couldn't I get a face-off at 65? Why?
You got to be able to. You got to start with bending over. Start.
He is the worst one. I swear to God, this guy loves to get me, man. He loves me. Oh, man. I never get over on this guy.
Because
This
you
guy.
say things that are like, you wanna jump over the pile here to go right to the top. You went from a guy who never played in high school. I gotta say, we do give you credentials. You were on the Nassau Community College. You got a national championship, and you got a club championship.
Hey,
Undefeated.
Vinny, when I was down there for the championship in Nassau, I'm not going to lie to you. And everybody goes through regret. I don't ever really have regrets, but when I was down there, we were in the national championship game against Anne Arundel from Maryland. And I remember they had 2 guys. Someone said, why are they on this team? They had 2 stars, and one kid got hurt.
Mhm.
One kid got hurt, like in the 3rd quarter. So the 4th quarter, we shut him out. I said to myself, I am so lucky, man. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be on a national championship team and friends for a lifetime and never had any time in the game. And I was so fortunate to be around that. Jeff Dumpson, a great athlete. Greg Cannella, who's a coach of UMass. He's the longest reigning coach besides the Duke coach. Did you know that? He's second now to be on one team. He's actually the longest, longest coach in the game now.
The longest tenured coach. Maybe he might be. I got to think Corrigan's got, 35, 36 years. Pannell is up there, and Danowski. But Danowski, got to remember, he had years at Hofstra.
Yeah.
So, you're just not counting coaching years. If you're saying that one school, you may be right.
38 years at that school, whenever he's
Amazing. Yeah, he's done a great job. He's a good guy.
Such a nice kid, and to be a member of that, and I'm very blessed to be around. I only played 1 year, 3 years of lacrosse.
You had Paul Gansey on that team.
Paul Gansey, Romano, who was an All-American, wanted to go to Virginia, but he loved his girlfriend, wound up marrying her, and we lost him 2 years ago. Yeah. He was a wonderful man. He was my dear friend. Talked to nobody, but he talked to me. How do you figure that out? I used to treat him friendly fribble. I used to take him. Him
Yeah,
and the other guy.
he went for free. But, look, you added something to the team. You were a little older than most of those guys on
Yeah,
the team.
yeah.
You do
What do you
what
say?
you owe.
I was 2 cents short of a dime, Vinny. That's what you like to say.
I didn't say, yeah, I'm giving you a
You're about to
compliment.
say
I'm
it. Go
telling you
ahead.
He
how
insults
you
himself.
how you added to the team. You kept them in good spirits. You encouraged them. You gave them confidence. That's why Speckman liked you on the team.
But also practice. I listen. I worked so hard on Canella. I killed that kid. He was my stepchild. I killed that kid. Over the head check, hit him in the head about a dozen times. Oh, he rattled that kid. Oh, that kid was small. But he wound up being an All-American. He came out of there, and believe it or not, let's see if you're smart, Vinny. If I can stump you and Steven. Do you know what college Greg Canella went to after
Maybe UMass.
He went to UMass.
No, he went to Maryland. Oh, dear. I got to know it all. He went to Maryland, and then I think he left Maryland. He went to Maryland maybe for.
I love when a guy throws a trivia question out there and says, "I."
All right, moving along, guys. Enough about me. Listen. With all due respect, I love you guys. I love you guys, but you never won in college. You'll never know what it's like.
Bottom line is, you're not making it up to Placid, but you have good reason because you're going to a nice family event. I know you're very close with the Ryan family,
right.
and so I hope you have a great time, and it'll be more fun for Cheryl, your wife, the true goat. You'll get to have a nice trip. I think you said you're going to see some of her family while you're down there too, right?
I haven't had sex in 2 years. I'm going to be in a hotel.
Take it easy. Don't go there. Don't go there. Cheryl, don't want your business out on the street here.
Oh, I love my fans, man. Come on.
So let's
I
get
love
back,
the people.
let's
Go
get
ahead,
back to
Steven.
the big weekend. Okay, so now we're back to the pro games because listen, one of the things I love having a guest, and we'll probably have a guest next week. We're working on lining up various people that are in our Rolodex, and but it's good to go over these games too. That's one of the things when we have the picks, because the biggest surprise is two things. One, Smalls is one game out of first place.
You got to hope.
11, and I came back all the way from an 0-4 week.
I couldn't believe you came back.
I'm back to 14-10. I drew even with Vin. So me and Vin are at 14-10. You're at 13-11, one game back. And the fans, who I love watching their picks and seeing what direction that pick swings, they're actually the lowest. They're at 11-13 right now. So there's a number of weeks to go. It's anybody's.
It's not that easy to pick.
It's not that easy, especially.
No, it's not easy to spread. Yeah.
But this week, we had the games where the first game on Friday was Denver playing Philadelphia. Now we got to talk about this game because pretty much Philadelphia is in drastic trouble at this point.
Right.
They got one win. I think they're a very good team, but they almost might be Gonzville. Like they might be too far out of it at this juncture. They ended up losing the game 15-13. It was a competitive game. O'Neal had a very good game. My man, my new favorite player, Bundy, King Kong Bundy. I mean, this guy, Vin, the way this guy shoots, he's a danger. If you're not on this guy, he's just
who, Steven who?
Mr. Bundy, King Kong Bundy. He's shooting rockets everywhere.
What's his full name so the fans get a
Graham Bundy.
Yeah.
Green?
So Graham Bundy. I'm looking at his stat line. He had 5 points, 1 goal, 2 2-pointers on 6 shots. He shot 50%.
Well, he had the third goal. His toe was on the line.
Yeah, and the third goal was nearly another 2-pointer.
Right.
No, he's a weapon, no doubt, and they have to pay a lot of attention to O'Neal, and they suck down to Card O'Neal. And this guy can sling it, so they're going to have to make some adjustments against him.
Tierney's never lost this much. Like, what's the situation here now?
Well, I don't think he's lost. Had a percentage like this and record and
since Great Neck South.
No, maybe his first year at Princeton. I think their record wasn't very good.
Vinny, who are you talking about?
Bill Tierney.
Okay.
He just Bill Tierney. So, the Water Dogs. I think they're 1-5 right now, in danger of being out of it. I don't think they're mathematically out of it yet. They could go, but they've really had some hard luck. They're losing.
Yeah, they're losing 1-goal games, Vinny. You're right.
And even when the other game is a one possession game, they have a chance there. So, that's what happens in this league. It can happen. You're on top. Didn't they won a championship and played in the final the next year or something, right? So
I thought at the end of the game, though, I think I said this to you shortly after I spoke to Vinny. Let's see what Smalley thinks of this. When they were down 2, they got the ball, the Water Dogs. There was maybe 50 seconds to go in the game. The shot clock was fairly close to that. Maybe the shot clock was 40 seconds, They were talking like if they could get a real fast 1 goal, that, then they could get a face-off and maybe get another goal to tie the game. The possession was going long. It was going long. The ball went out of bounds with maybe, 16 seconds or 18 seconds, something like that on a shot. It went wide. And they had a timeout, Water Dogs, to maybe now call timeout, set up a play to try to get a 2, and they just triggered it in, and they left the field with the timeout in their pocket. Like, maybe he felt like maybe a helter-skelter play that maybe they can get a 2. Or I'd rather take the timeout and at least try to run a play. What do you think, Smalls?
It sounds like, yeah. I don't know if the teams, the PLL, actually practice those because they're so limited on time of practice and traveling. Sometimes you're kind of winging it in the game. I know it's hard, like these guys. I would say, yeah, you got to do it too, because these guys are clever enough to run out the clock. You got to figure out a 2 and knowing how to set a pick and stuff.
But do you call the timeout? They left without.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, you call a timeout.
What do you
use
think?
it anyway? Doesn't matter.
Listen, I've had times where when I was coaching, if you remember that game we played up in Boston that year. And everybody was yelling for me to call timeout, and I didn't, and I let it go, and Jalbert came down the whole field and ended up scoring.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes that can happen, but it didn't seem like that because the ball went out of bounds. That's what I'm saying. I would have said, don't call a timeout if you're trying to do that. But once the ball went out of bounds, and it went out of bounds with about 15 or 18 seconds, I think that's enough time to actually try to make a play. I mean, that's why I call timeouts in basketball, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I think was, listen, it was a long shot that they would make the play to score a 2, but that's what they say about a team that's in basketball down 3 and the guy comes in and he shoots a 3. That happens. They do.
How many twos are made in an average game? 1, 2, 3. How many
in an average game? I don't think
they seem to be making them.
They're still now. The last few games we've seen, yes, but for the season, it's not like an overwhelming number, like where you would say you're better off taking a 2, like basketball.
Well, give me a rough estimate what you would think.
How many in a game?
I'd say at least 1 or 2 a game.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is this even?
I was going to say 2 to 3, but that's 2 to 3 made. I don't know how many are taken.
How many shots taken? I don't know.
I mean, we could look up those stats.
I was going to say something.
But look, the bottom line is Denver's a funny team. They've been hot and cold. Philly's been more consistent, but they lose close games.
Yeah.
So whether or not, they're just right now in the standings, they're sitting in trouble here because they're sitting in a spot where 2 teams don't make the playoffs.
Oh,
they're at 1-5, and the Redwoods are at 1-4.
Those teams are in trouble.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Hey, Vinny, wait a second. You're probably right about that, but just for the fans, I thought the rules were going to be a little different this year in the playoffs.
I just told you, 2 teams don't make it.
I thought they all make it, but okay.
No, they don't. They don't all make it.
And then they give the top team a bye. That's what I thought. But all right, you guys know.
The 2 teams don't make it. But what I'm saying is, look, Philly, Maryland, the Whipsnakes, they've lost some tough games too. that goal differential comes into play, and they're 2-4. I mean, you win, Philly wins, Whipsnakes lose. They got the same record.
Yeah, but they're not in the same division, though, Vin.
I don't know about the division. I'm not sure. We probably should know this. I don't think it's the last place of each division gets knocked out. I'm not sure. I thought it might be just the 2 worst records.
We're gonna go look that up because
We gotta find. We got.
We need sheets of paper. We need paper.
We should know that, but the bottom line is, some of these teams. Look, Atlas dropped a game. We'll get into their game, but the bottom line is, if we're just talking about that game the other day, that team. The Water Dogs, they're just, these are very tight contests they're losing, and they can get it back together, but it's going to take.
I'm going to say right now, don't sleep on the Outlaws. I something about the Outlaws.
Yeah, if they get in the playoffs, they'll be fine.
I like their team. I think they're a dangerous team. I think they got a lot of young, good guys, and I think that they could be trouble in a when it gets to like the semis or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they could end up on top. They got enough talent there. In fact, I don't even know why some of the talent that doesn't even play on their team. To be honest, I think the Redwoods should be looking at poaching some of their guys because Wisnauskas doesn't even get in the lineup. I think he's finished with Outlaws. Where's he been?
Yeah.
And the other guy they had in the first week, who's a pretty good player, the kid from Ohio State, another big-bodied attackman type kid that could go out of the box as a midfield. You know that guy I'm talking about, Vin? Is his name Myers? Myers, I think.
Oh, Myers is an attacker, but he can do both. No, he's good.
He's on that team too when he doesn't get in. So
these are coaches' decisions that they're trying to. They don't have a lot of time to blend.
Are they adopting more of the game towards the Canadian game? Are they picking more? Are there more Canadians playing in this league than ever before?
I don't know about ever before, but there are quite a few.
I think they just have a hard time figuring out. You got to tinker around with your lineup and try to find the best method. And I think the Outlaws are starting to find that. All I'm saying is there's some pretty good guys that are not even getting on the field with their team. They got a lot of good.
Where are the finals this year? Where are they playing? Is it like college, the Final Four? I know they're having the quarterfinals at Hofstra. Where are the finals?
The Final Four is at Hofstra. Yes,
it is.
They're not having. There's no quarterfinals because there's only 8 teams in the league.
No, but that's considered quarterfinals. Right. And then they're playing.
2 games is considered quarterfinals. That doesn't mathematically make sense to me.
What are you talking about?
What games is there's
get him, Vinny, get him
at Hofstra. There's not 4 games at Hofstra.
There's 2.
There's
2 games.
So that's the Final Four.
That would be the semifinal. And if not every playoffs, how could you have a quarterfinal? I don't understand how you could have a quarterfinal.
And so what are they playing anyway? So they play those 4 games at Hofstra, and then there's 2 teams left. And where do they play the finals? Do they still play at Hofstra like the final?
No. That goes another week. It goes, I think.
It's not in California, is it?
It's Philadelphia. Philadelphia.
That makes sense. So they're going to play in Philly. So they're playing the final game in Philly because they'll sell out.
So maybe he's right. Maybe every team does make the playoffs because they're saying a quarterfinal. They're doing 2 games on September 2nd. So I guess maybe everybody.
Can I say something right now? Get a word in. I know you guys are going to blast me because Vinny blasted me already. Again, let me just say it for the fans. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I was under the impression either this year or next year that every team makes it. But the difference is the 2 teams in the division get a bye. Does that make it? Would that make sense?
Based on what I'm seeing here on the schedule, yes, that's what it looks like. And listen, that makes anybody dangerous. You end up being
if you're gonna
you end up being a 1-9 team, and then you go to the championship.
It happened before. Chaos didn't win the bubble year or whatever. They didn't win a game in the round robin. Made it to the final.
I know that happens. So the next game, speaking of Chaos, Chaos on Friday played Whipsnakes. and they win in OT. Tight game, defensive battle. I still say with chaos, Reardon carries them. You know, again, he made like a crazy amount of saves. He's, they're always going to be dangerous having Blaze Reardon. He makes,
Well, I think their defense, their strength. I mean, between Rowlett and Reardon, Rowlett, they're packaging him as the best cover guy. He is tough, and they play good defense. They're a pretty physical team, and of course Reardon's a big advantage in the goal. But there's been other goalies that have played really well this year. I gotta say,
Yeah.
But their issue is scoring. I mean, maybe they should have settled some contract with Dane Smith. I mean, it seems like since he's out of the lineup, they really struggle to score. When he's in the lineup, they were a pretty high-powered scoring.
Blaze Reardon?
That's the goalie.
Okay.
I'm talking about Dane Smith. He was one of the top point getters, especially from the midfield. He didn't. He didn't
he's a passer. He's a playmaker.
No, he's a playmaker. He's dangerous. He's got good chemistry. The Chaos team, they got a bunch of guys who come off the indoor season with the Bandits who won a championship, I think, and then they're used to playing with each other. But I think he hasn't played, and I don't think
Cloutier hasn't played.
Who?
Cloutier.
Yeah, and I don't think the guy Smith, that other big guy,
right.
So their lineup, they're adjusted. He's got some smaller, faster guys in there. He's adjusted with the lineup and guys he's picked up. Some of those Rutgers guys, the guy won the game in overtime, right? The Rutgers kid won the game.
Oh, he had a good game. He had a good game this week.
Yeah, no, he's good. I mean, there's a lot of talented players. It's just, the difficulty is chemistry and, look. We all want to see this thing succeed. I've said it many times. I'm thankful for what Paul Rabil's been able to do to promote the game and do this whole thing and keep it going. But, until they can really be where they're practicing every day and, how beautiful the game would be if these guys were, playing together like you do in college. But it's not possible. They can't pay those kind of salaries yet. And so they do the best they can. And the product is still exciting and the skill level. And I think these guys during the week, to their credit, they take care of their bodies. They take care of themselves. They work out. And they put a good show on. But for the skill level of what they really have, at times there is a lot of sloppiness in these games. And there's guys not on the same page because you got guys in and out of the lineup. One thing to be said, I mean, obviously I most of the years I played after college were in club lacrosse. I was lucky to be on a team that we had a nucleus of guys that played, 5 to 10 years together in a row, some guys longer. But to have that consistency of players, especially the nucleus of guys and the level of players they were, that made us a very good team all the time. You think
you could compete in the game today? I'm not saying you personally, but I get it.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of those teams I was on would not only compete. I think we could win in this league. We would win.
That'd be very hard. But I'd say like you guys have said before, maybe your top 5 or 6. If you start going down your roster, these guys are much better players. I mean, how many?
Well, I can only tell you one year team I was on with Long Island, 8 of our 10 starters made the USA team. So if you got 8 of the 10 starters representing the USA team, they're pretty damn good players, all of them.
No, I agree with that statement, but I don't think it would be as easy as you think you're saying because
here you go again. You just said I don't think it would be as easy as you think. I never said it was easy.
I didn't say it, but I'm saying that the people
you just did.
I didn't say it like that. Excuse me. I'm saying the people that are 7, 8, 9, 10 players are better than your players of years ago.
I just told you we had 8 out of 10 that were on the USA team. They're 7, 8, 9, and 10. We had 15, 16 guys when Steven was playing go to the tryouts for the USA team. Our team had high-level players. Now, you could argue the players today are better, but it's not so long ago. A lot of those guys ended up in the MLL. A lot of those guys ended up very good players in the MLL. So
You
you
guys are,
I think, Vin. I think one thing that when you're starting to look at it, some of these teams have some nucleuses now that they've been playing in this.
No, I was thinking about it today. How many years is this league going now? We should probably know these things.
It's five. I think it's like five.
How many?
5. This
So-
is year 5, I think.
Okay, but you take those two Whipsnakes, the early Whipsnakes teams, right? A
Yeah,
bunch of those guys that were the main guys on that team are gone.
right.
You take these teams, the Chaos team that went to the finals. They're all, some are still playing in the league.
That happens with every team. They still have, the Whipsnakes still have a bit of a nucleus of the guys. They're just starting to do a rebuild. That happens with every team. These.
No,
teams
but I'm
have to
saying
rebuild.
they're 5 years in and they're a rebuild. We had the same guys for 10 years straight. We had a starting lineup, maybe one different guy, two different guys.
But you got to also remember some of them were already playing. They were playing in MLL, so they were playing at the highest level. So when PLL started, that like us, you would say,
Yeah,
you
they
get
moved
over
over.
and then they're out.
That's true, but what I'm saying, you just said it. You got Logan Wisnauskas. Didn't he win the Tuatara
he's
Time
totally
Award?
right. He's out just a couple
And
years.
he's Dylan Malloy. He's
Right.
on the Atlas roster. He can't fit in, it seems. So I don't know why, but I could go down the list and look at the guys who are on rosters, and you'd say, "Wow, that guy's on that roster and he's not getting in," because it's tight, and the coaches have to make coaches' decisions.
Well, how did they get them? I don't want to skip over the third game, but to be honest, Redwoods, I think, need help, and there seems to be a lot of guys not playing that might be able to help them.
Well, that was not the third game. The third
Right.
game. The
Third
third
game
game.
was Atlas and Atlas and the Cannons. That
So
was a big
the
game.
Atlas and the Cannons game, I took a ride down to Fairfield, to see Pannell. Because I traveled with his uncle Jim Metzger, my former teammate and player, and great benefactor to Hofstra, Rob's uncle, who was very influential in his career, and so we took a ride down because it was not a bad ride. And Rob arranged that that we could get a couple field passes. So, more for Jim than me, but I want to also see it at field level and the speed and the whole thing, like Smalls is talking about, different level of athlete and all. And when you're seeing it from the field, you definitely see the speed. One thing you see is the size. These guys, some of these guys were really brutes. They were some big dudes out there, I have to say. And so that first game was interesting because Atlas comes in with leading the league with wins. 3 of their top attackmen, Teat breaking the record. He had it tied, and then he broke it that day. You got Dixon and Schellenberger having great seasons. They've played one more game than some of the other teams going into, they played 7 games, and it was like they were like 1, 2, and 3 in scoring. So it was Boston, their game plan or just physically how they matched up with that attack. They took that Atlas attack out of the game pretty good, I have to say, just points-wise. It's not always about points, but they just really couldn't seem to get going that day. And when they did make some nice plays, I have to say the goalie for the Cannons played really well, I thought, seeing it on the field. They took some good shots that he saved. And, so seeing that, I mean, it was a tight game. It was nip and tuck. And it's funny because on the other end, other than maybe, Cav had the one kid, Cav had a point or two, Matt Cav, and Pat Cav didn't play.
Well, I think he's out for the year, right? He's
Yeah,
not
maybe.
playing
I
out
don't
for the
know.
year.
Ashton Olting had 3 points, but it was like a very quiet 3 points, But the guy who seems to, they get a lot from their middies, and the guy who seems to stir the drink for them is Holman. He's an impressive player because he really can shoot, and if you watch him, he doesn't stop moving. He frees other guys up. He's really very high IQ.
Could he win Player of the Year? Could he win Player of the Year?
I don't know. Why not? I mean, if they win the whole thing,
Well, you guys know better than me. I mean, he seems.
He was the MVP of the All-Star game.
Oh, he was? Wow.
Yeah. He's a dangerous guy, and I think the way he plays, it does open it up for other guys. If they can get a couple other guys to step up a little, limit their turnovers a little bit, they're gonna be a tough out. Let me
Where
tell
did
you,
Holman play in college?
Holman played at Carolina.
Oh, he
They
did.
got the kid Trainer, who I think had a 2-pointer plus at least another 1 goal. He was, he's very good in transition. He's physical, plays tough D. They got Goodrich. They played good on-ball defense. They picked up Epple from the Redwoods, who physically can Teet's great, but Epple as a one-on-one physical matchup. That's why I tried to tell you, Smalls.
I don't understand this. Maybe you can answer this question, Vin. Maybe none of us know that regarding Epple. And you say, oh, he picked them up, and then you go, oh, he picked them up in free agency. You guys are traveling around like the wrestling show. Nobody has a home. They're not like living in a spot. So why was he off of the one team and on to the other team?
Very easy, Steven. He doesn't get along with the other players. It's very
They were all
easy.
guys he went to school with.
Doesn't matter. He didn't fit in at that time.
That was all his buddies from Notre Dame he was playing with.
Right.
I can't answer that. Maybe they want to mix the thing up a little bit. They wanted to break him up. I don't know, but look, he ended up on this team and he did a great job on
Yeah,
Saturday.
sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's better to know no one.
He's been a consistent guy in terms of leading the league in turnovers. He creates turnovers, the guy.
He's got an edge. He's maybe a little wild. He likes to drill guys.
No, he's physical. He's a tough one-on-one player. He's a tough matchup.
I'm going to pick them to win it all. What do you think of that?
Listen,
Yeah, he's got.
You might think I'm crazy. I'm saying something wacky right now. Right now, if I had to pick the way you described that kid coming there too, they're going to win it all.
Well, they got the best record. They're tied for the best record right now. They just don't have the Atlas has the goal difference.
I think the thing we saw is that they were ready after the first couple of weeks to appoint Atlas like they were going to run the table, or they were just they're just so much better than the rest of the league. They're coming back to earth a little bit.
They came back to the pack. That happens. These seasons are a grind. There are injuries. There's guys. Look, there's guys still at this level, even though it's pro and all of that.
It's good for the league, though. It's good for the league.
There's guys who haven't made games. They got other commitments. Like, we're going to talk about the next game. Chris Gray didn't play. He means a lot to that Redwoods team, but he had a sister getting married, so he went to his sister's wedding. Who could blame him? I mean, that's important. But
what do you mean? Who to blame him, Vinny? You never went anywhere. You missed more events than any family member alive. You never missed a lacrosse game. I know for a fact. Don't come out and give me. You were never there.
That's how I was. I'm saying if he wants to do it the other way.
Okay. I thought you were saying that. I never.
I'm not criticizing him for going.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're right.
But cause turnovers. I'm looking at it now. Epple has 18. The next closest guy, number 2 guy, has 11. The next guy's got 9. So the number 3 guy's got half as many caused turnovers as him. So he's been, you got to put him in the conversation for best defender of the year, Yeah. Look, these seasons, we're just past the halfway point, a little bit past because we're at play 10, so some teams, this is a huge weekend for some teams.
Well, you were going to see the Redwoods. Let's talk about that last game. Archers were down a little. They came back. They beat.
So wait, let me before you jump to them. Being at that game, that game was back and forth, 1-goal game. The Atlas game, it was back and forth.
Wait, man, for the viewers, you talk about Atlas and who?
Atlas and Boston.
So 2 games. Okay, Atlas. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Atlas and Boston. Go ahead.
And they ended up pulling away because they made a few 2-point. And I have to say this, if I'm going to give you my sideline reporting, I think Enterman, who the question was, when was Enterman going to start for these guys, right? And he did. So he was the starter in that game. At half, I think he had 2 saves. He really wasn't seeing it, and I'm sure he wasn't happy with his performance. I'm not picking on the guy. I'm just reporting what I saw and statistically. But he just, to me, and I was at field level, some of the shots he didn't have a chance on, but some of them, when you're at his level, you count on a goalie to make a few of those to like keep you in the game,
Yeah.
These guys were sharpshooting on him. It was like, wow.
There's no doubt today, Vinny. Vinny, one question is very clear. I like doing this. You were very clear on the field. You were Mexican, a few guys. There's no doubt that these players today on a larger level are way better sharpshooters than they were years ago. Would you consistently say that at least?
I'd say there's more. There are a lot of guys who can shoot better. The best guys that shot years ago could maybe shoot with the best guys today. But yes, there's a lot more of them can do it. And I also do believe it does have to do with the sticks also. It does.
Yeah.
I think the sticks have changed over the years to where, these guys, it comes
they're
out.
amazing sticks, Vinny.
No, listen, I'm not. I always see how hard it is in other sports when guys, they try to do lists of greatest players in basketball, and how do you compare Bill Russell with Shaq and this guy with that guy? It's it is what it is. They played when they played, but that's why I don't like really doing those comparison things. But yeah, these guys, Enterman, who was phenomenal in college. Now he's stepping up another level because now he's even seeing, like you just said, more guys who could sling it.
And you can't stop these shots. These shots, you're sitting there, and I see the goal go in, and the guy doesn't even move.
No,
Vinny, it's crazy.
They came down in transition on him, and that's when the game broke open. They hit a 2. I think the kid Trainer came down, hit a 2 in transition. Next thing you know, the game goes to 1-goal game either way, and next thing you know, team is down 4-5. And then they couldn't come back in that game. It just wasn't their day. So that was that threw a wrinkle in things. And
he's got to come out of the cage more. When these guys are one-on-one, they're going to score automatically. When you're one-on-one with a goalie, these guys are not missing much. The percentage of today's shooter one-on-one is way greater than years ago. Like, these guys can move the stick better than years ago. They're just more sharpshooters.
I think he actually was stopping the in-tight shots better than the shots.
Did you think that he would take him out and put Troutner back in for a half?
Honestly, I thought maybe he might go to the other guy for the second half. I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. He stayed in the pretty. He stayed in. He stayed in the whole game, and I got to say, he did recover in the second half. He played a much better second half. Let me see if I find the stats from that game. I'm curious to see.
Steven, if I was young, I would have put you in a goal.
I'm never going to goal.
You don't like goalie?
I'd never play. No way.
Why?
I hate getting hit with the ball. It's the worst thing. I get hit with a stick. I can't never get hit with a ball.
I don't know. They get hit in the legs. You're right, man. It's terrible. Maybe they got to wear better equipment.
Well, look, I think the key point of that game is Atlas came back to earth. And I don't think, like, now when you look at them in the context of the standings with Boston with an equal record and Outlaws right there and Chaos not too far behind, everybody, those teams are in striking distance. And even the Archers. So the next game was, you were there after that game ended, and the Archers, smacked down the Redwoods. And to me, the Redwoods are like on life support right now. Like, they need some help.
The Redwoods look like the team that's struggling the most to find offense. I will say, Rob did his part.
Yeah, he did. He played great.
Rob, we saw him before the game, and he said, when they had their practice the day before, his legs felt re-energized. He said he felt really good. He had a pep in his step, and even the guys on the team noticed it and said, wow, you're moving fast tonight, And he carried that into the game. He started the game. He got aggressive very early in the game, beat a guy early, and the goalie made a good save on him. But he did put in, he had 4 and 1 in the game, 4 goals.
What? He had 4 and 1?
Yeah, he had 4 goals.
Oh, my God, that kid is amazing.
They only had 8.
Yeah, and they out of the 8.
That kid's amazing, man.
5 of the 8, but he had one at the end of a shot clock where he drove the guy up, and I guess I heard the guy call it the Canadian egg roll. He dropped his stick down and just like rolled it, past the goalie. The goalie didn't. I don't even think he thought he was shooting it. Then he had another one where he got underneath, really nice on the guy and dove across the crease. He got another one at the end of the game in the transition. Somebody, I think Gonzi might have hit him with a pass in a broken situation, But he really looked like Pannell. He looked like himself in this.
I love that kid, man.
They got to find more than that, and obviously, I think Chris Gray is a big addition. It takes pressure off Rob. Gonzi's got to play a little better. He didn't really have that many opportunities, in all fairness to him.
Steven, you think Pannell will make another world team and tie Vinny's record? I want him to go for it.
What's the record?
4 World Cups. Never been done before. Vinny and
got 2.
Who?
No, Pannell was on 3 already.
He's on 3.
Oh, I thought when he said Vinny's record, Vinny won 4. I thought you were saying winning.
Oh, that wasn't right, Steven. You know what I was talking about. So
But there's been other guys that have been on 4 teams and Canadian teams. There's been guys that have been.
But it's going to be down in Japan, though. If he goes,
nobody ever. There's only 2 guys that ever won 4.
What do you mean 1-4?
Won 4 world
4 times.
Oh, won the. Oh, you mean actually won the game?
Gold medal. When you win and you get a gold medal.
Oh,
like
so
Olympics is next.
I
week.
thought they won. They didn't win.
Well, Vinny won 4 times.
So Pannell go 1 more. He can win 4.
On 4 winning teams, and Dito was on 4 winning teams. We had that.
Oh, all right, I'm saying he's on 3 teams. I got you.
We won. The U.S. won.
He'd have to go 2 more to tie. Look, here he goes. He's gone. He's gone.
I'll be right back. I got to get my pizza.
Did you just say he had to go get his pizza?
Yeah. The U.S. won.
He's got a mid snack.
6 in a row. The U.S. had won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And then lost in 06. So that's the most anybody ever won in a row is 6.
Right.
And then they lost in 06. They won in 2010. They lost in 14, and they won in 18, and they won last year. So we're back on a 2-game winning streak.
I think Redwoods has to go. They need players. I don't see it.
I don't think you can get any players at this point. I think the trade deadline's over. I don't know. Maybe if there's guys out of the player pool, maybe you could do it. I just don't know what the rules are.
They need some players.
Again,
otherwise,
we're a little sloppy with our reporting because we don't know all these things as to what deadlines are.
I know I could look at that team and know they need help.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
that I don't need to know too much. I know that.
Yeah. That's true for sure.
I'd like to see Pannell's team go far in the playoffs, though. It'd be nice to go down there and see him.
Let me give you this. Let me just give you this. 8, right? 8. 9. 8. 15.
That's how many goals they've scored.
They got 1 game where they had 15.
Mm-hmm.
11. Those ones are earlier in the year. So,
they're not getting anything from their midfield. They got to get something from that midfield.
This is the week for them and we're going to pick our games. I'll give you the lines. But
no, this is a tough week for them because they got to play
2 games. Well, listen, they should want to play 2 games. They need to play 2 games and play them well. If they win both games, they can be right back in the mix.
If they win 2, yeah.
You're right in the mix again.
Yeah, it's not easy winning 2 in this,
Yeah,
unless you're the top team in this league, basically you're still going to make the playoffs, and you basically got to beat those teams anyway.
You got to listen. That's always been the thing in sports.
The other news of that game, I thought this was interesting. Tom Schreiber first they announced he got to 200 assists.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
that's a lot
in itself. Then he scored a goal and he got to 400 points. So he's basically had 200 goals and 200 assists.
Wow.
And I think I remember when he was at Princeton, I think they either said, I think he had 100 and 100.
Yeah, he's
You know,
balanced.
like I think he
He's
had
balanced.
that kind of career at Princeton. You know, pretty balanced scoring, goals and assists.
So you would say he's the best all-around scorer and assist guy. I mean,
Well,
if you
I
had to,
thought that Hawk says he's the best passing midfielder, which I wouldn't argue with. But I thought Tom played really well. I thought that was his best game of the season the other day. He looked good. He had bounce in his step. He beat, I think his first goal of the game, he split a guy right to left, went right towards the cage and shot it in. He made some. I had a bird's eye view of one pass. He just anticipated the guy moving. I think he threw it to Fields. And he moved right to the right spot. He's got that unique style of throwing that sidearm from his shoulder pass, and he's accurate as hell with it. It's a little tough to catch maybe for some guys, but you don't have to really do much because he doesn't. Guys who throw passes like that, they're hard to catch if they're not accurate. Because they're hard. But it's like with him, where your stick is, he gets it right to your stick.
So when he did this record, they were saying, they said the best 3 passing midfielders ever. And he said, he's not even listening to me. He's eating his pizza.
I'm listening.
Are you listening to me? What did I say?
The best midfielder passer.
Okay.
I'm listening. I haven't eaten all day. I had Elio's pizza from the Stop and Shop.
He says Schreiber. He says Paul Gate, and he said
Rabil.
Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased, but there's a couple Long Island players that I had the good fortune of when I came out of college, got to play with them right away. In Vinny and Normando. Normando was a great passer.
Yeah,
Norm anywhere. And Vinny was a great passer too.
Yeah, Norm. I love the way Norm passed the ball. I played with him. He passed a lot to me, so I know he could pass the ball. He had great vision. He had a knack of and he fed the ball nice. He gave you a catchable pass.
Yes,
some guys throw bullets. So like I said, some guys aren't easy to catch their passes.
Right.
Norm threw a nice ball to you. There's been a lot of guys. Listen, I think that Tom's game. He really, because we know him for so long, watching him. I'm watching him since high school. I helped coach him on one of the Empire teams when I helped Chris Deeks when they won the gold medal there that year. He had just finished his sophomore year of high school, played on the team with our nephew Jeff Fricaro. And he's just progressed and he got better and he honed his craft. And he's a lax rat. He loves to play. He really loves to play, and there's certain things I watch his style. Kids should try to adopt what he does. Now, I'm not saying every kid can have the kind of skill level he has or have maybe his physical ability, but like Tom does the little things right. Like he comes out of that box at full speed. He's got the guy on his heels right away. He does those kinds of things. If you watch enough video and you say, well, I think I'm going to do that, because I don't see that many guys do it the way he does it.
Picks great.
Yeah, no, he knows how to use other guys around him. He's excellent at that. Obviously he's a two-handed player. He really he's a legit two-handed player. Lefty, right, the ball, feed the ball. So you could learn a lot. If you're a midfielder, you want to learn how to play and be valuable to your team. Watch him. As an offensive player, he's an offensive machine. Sure. I think, but, that's today there's specialists, He's more than a specialist, I would say, as a player.
His parents were like Hall of Famers.
He even got caught down on D, and he was guarding Pannell behind the goal.
Yeah.
Held him up, Rob threw a feed. It went all the way through and over and back, and he ran down in transition and got a goal. So he showed, that I think is indoor helping him with that too.
No, and he sees a play like that, the ball went through on the feed. He knows if he's the first guy down there, he's going to end up getting the ball.
Exactly, and he ran to make it happen.
That's why I say, as much as these kids play in 4 zillion tournaments and all of that kind of stuff, put a kid in front of a TV and watch that guy play and explain how he's doing it. and it's better than the kid playing 3 games in 100 degrees that day.
I'll ask you a different question because, talking about the schematics of it and the way they play and in the box and substitute, it happened one time where he got on the defensive side of the field. Now, granted, he ended up on an attackman, Rob, and then he was trying, but he could have been guarding a midi, right?
Right.
Why don't they? It was so easy having a weapon like him in transition when it went from D to O. It was a joke how easy he scored because the ball just went down the field and then it was a goal like immediately.
Yeah,
Why
but
don't they take chances with that?
He saw it and went right after because he knows the coach is not going to be mad at him for going to play an offense. I think a lot of these guys now, they're starting to give the green light to. They see that these guys are more than capable. And some of these short stick D guys can really shoot it. Like I said.
What about guys? What about every once in a while saying, okay, go ahead, the pole went, the short stick D guy went, you go, even though you're an offensive guy, but you can let him go and maybe get that in the middle.
I think I would, as a midi.
Shoot him out the back door.
If I was playing and I was playing my normal position of midfield, of course I'd be telling a coach that's what I want to be able to do.
Well, I knew an indoor. You were either the front door or the back door. I didn't mind going out the back door sometimes to try to maybe get that transition.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing in this game. If you feel comfortable like you could at least play good enough D, I wouldn't mind going out the back door, going on D and take a shot there.
Yeah, as long as you can, they're not going to put the caution flag up on you every time you cross the midline.
Especially, Vin, wouldn't you be doing that in a sense? Think about this if you're playing, right? And you're out there, and maybe you're a dangerous guy. And every time you go out there, it's like the pole on you, and they're backing up, and then you're like, you can't get into a rhythm. To me, that's the time, let me go on the D, and maybe I'll change how they have to play defense on me just by me playing D and then getting it in transition. And then their guy can't get off the field and he's got to stay on with me,
No, listen,
like that,
you want to take a team out of what they do best or what they're most comfortable with, and that's the easiest way to do it. But, in every sport, whether it's basketball, soccer, lacrosse, any sport that has goals at each end, hockey, you're always trying to create that unsettled situation because it's always much easier to score in unsettled situations than it is when a defense is packed in and they're coordinated and they're, ready to play. It's when they have to make decisions because the ball's coming down fast and there's a trailer. Do I pick up that guy? Who's the most dangerous guy now? Those are things that...
No one does that, though. I don't see anybody, especially college. They don't even do that shit. They wait for all their players to come on.
Well, some do, but I think you're going to see that's going to be, these guys are becoming so capable to play both ends. I think they are now. I think you're going to see more coaches give these guys, but it's, because it's got to be, look, on the other side of that is, let's say you're an offensive midi and you see these guys are going out and they're playing short stick D on guys and the guy's giving them the green light to run down and do that. And then let's say they don't score in the transition and they turn it over. You got the offensive guy sitting in the box getting mad because he's like, all right, it's another time I didn't get an opportunity. You can see that by that. One of the things they keep in these stats with this PLL, they have touches. Right. How many times the guy's even touching the ball. Right. There was one game, it was a ridiculous stat for O'Neal. What he touched the ball 8 times. It was like some crazy low stat of touches he had. Not this game, but the game before. The one when he didn't score, maybe, I guess. He hardly touched the ball. How could you blame the guy if he's only touched the ball that many times and it's all in settled situations? What is he going to do? It's all about opportunity in everything in life.
Yeah.
So the lacrosse field is no different. When you get opportunity, it's like they used to laugh when I used to say, when we used to do those workouts down at Alley Pond Park, I said, this sport is about creating. I say, you ever play monkey in the middle? That's what you want to do. You want to play monkey in the middle all the way down the field. You just want to create a 2-on-1 all the way down the field the best you can and then take advantage of that because once you have a team out of sorts, guys make bad closeouts, anything can happen. That's so you got to take advantage of those opportunities.
This league, it's still this on a whole thing. This league's going to have to make some major changes for it to survive 10, 20 years from now. It's not.
Well, 10, 20 years. I mean, that's a long time. Look, they're doing their best right now. They've changed rules. They're trying to make it.
You got to open up the scoring more. I think it's got to be more scoring, like 20 in the 20s, because
I think the game is fine. I don't think.
No, I'm telling you, I think the game. Look, I'll give you for instance, small. So like when the MLL started and we played, right? I think I'm trying to remember the first year. Was it the first year, Stephen? Like you could only have 3 poles on the field. So they only allowed 3 poles on the field. You know, so that they would. And then the games were getting a little out of hand. There were a few games there. All of a sudden, scores were like in the 20s, and guys didn't like it. It was like, this is a joke. Right. These teams aren't who plays defense in this league.
Well, the other thing with that, Vin, the shot clock, they had us at
the shot
clock was low. It was like you had to do it in like 40 seconds or something.
Right. The shot clock was fast. You know, so they adjusted those things. They played with it to see, you know. So you're going to see some of that over the years in this too, you know, with the 2-point shot and the whole thing. But, you know, for the most part, I like the game. I enjoy it. I see the high skill level. Like I said, I just wish, you know, I hope that it does get to the day where these guys truly can, like, you're going to be assigned to a city, you're living in that city, and you practice in 5 days before you play. And I can just imagine when these guys play every day like that, what the skill level would look like in the shooting and everything else. It'd be amazing.
So now we'll finish it off. We'll do our picks and we'll give us some shout outs. Because this is a big week. Smalley can make his move right now. He could go.
Oh, if I make this week, man, I'll tell you right now.
The first game is they actually switched the schedule around. So the first game is Denver is getting a 1.5 from the Cannons. So the Cannons are a 1.5 favorite. I'm
going with the Cannons.
I'm going Outlaws.
Really?
Wow. Cannons, Outlaws. They are out. The who's getting the 1.5? The
Outlaws.
Oh boy. I got to tell you, I'm going to go with Boston in that one too. I'm going to go with the. What I saw on their defense, I was really impressed with their defense.
Then you go with the other teams, right?
Then second game, you got Chaos and the Redwoods.
Chaos and Redwoods. Chaos got to be favorite in that one.
So the Redwoods are getting a 1.5.
I got Chaos.
I'm taking Chaos. I don't think the Redwoods could score on Blaze Reed. I don't feel like they have enough goals to score. They're gonna have to do something surprising there.
I want to root for Rob and all, and I think Chris Gray will be back in the lineup, but I don't see it. We're unanimous with Chaos on that one.
All right, and then the next day, you got to go to. Oh, this is where they bumped it up. So the Atlas are -2.5 against the Water Dogs. Water Dogs are underdog by 2.5.
Wow. I'll go first. You know, they're a funny team, Atlas. You know, they've only lost twice, but after they lost, they bounced back pretty strong. On the other hand, the Water Dogs keep every game close, even though they lose. It's 2.5, you said?
2.5.
Wow, it's 2.5 for a reason. You know, those guys who pick these things, they're the best. They get you right on the fence. I think Atlas is going to bounce back. I'll go with Atlas.
I'm gonna go with the opposite team of Vinny.
You need to go with a napkin is what you need to go with.
Let me tell you something.
You need to go with a napkin.
I went to Stop and Shop and got 2 Stouffer's pizza. 2 it's like the Italian bread. Stover's Pizza.
You know, Steven, we really give these people their money's worth. It's like a 2-for-1. It's like we talk about lacrosse, they hear about lacrosse, and it's also like going to the zoo.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're hearing about lacrosse while you're at the zoo. It's feeding time at the zoo.
Oh my God!
I love the fans, man. I'm telling you, I love the
Who you
fans.
picking, Smalls?
I just told you the opposite of Vinny.
Oh, you picked Water Dogs.
Yeah, because I want to try to pick up a game. I'm Vinny.
Right. See, this is what he's picking. He goes with the.
All right, he's listening. He can pick who he wants.
Pick who he
And
wants.
what's the last one? The Whipsnakes?
Wait, I didn't pick. This is a tough one.
You guys are the experts.
I'm going to pick the Water Dogs because I believe that they're in desperation mode. If they don't win this week, they're finished. So I'm going to pick the Water Dogs. I'll take the 2.5 goals.
Okay.
And the last game is the Redwoods get to play again. And
what?
They're going to get a 1.5 goals again, and this time against the Whipsnakes.
Wow.
So
the Whipsnakes are fighting for their lives also, and they just lost a heartbreaker. But
I don't think the Whipsnakes are going to do anything. I'm going to pick the other team. I don't think Whipsnakes are doing anything. I think they're down in the dumps.
So you went with the Redwoods.
I'm going to go with the Redwoods.
This is a tough one because I'm a little scared of that half point. I could see this being like a 1.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. This is the kind of games these guys play.
I could see that. I'll pick the Whipsnakes. I'm going to take the Whipsnakes.
I can take the lead this week. Oh, baby, if it goes down. Oh, man, I'll tell you if it goes down.
All right, I went against the Redwoods in the other one. I'll go with the Redwoods in this one. I think it's a 1-goal game.
All right, those are
I wonder if Rambo will be back. I didn't hear his prognosis, but Rambo's back in the lineup or not.
That would help the Whipsnakes. That's for
What was the matter with Rambo?
I don't know. He didn't play last week, though.
So Smalls, with time for your shout out. Who's your shout out?
Oh, this is going to be unbelievable. Shout out to my parents. I lost my dad 5 years ago. You know, he was a Chaminade graduate. The guy was an icon. My mother's still alive. She's going to be 90. She came over the other day and she bought a bathing suit at I think Penny's. She went to a store. I gave her a shirt to wear, like a dry fit long sleeve. She came in the pool at 90 years old. She turned around. She got in the pool. She swam. It was just like, it was a blessing, man. And I thought all the stuff my parents had done for me to get where I got in life. And they bought me my first stick. We didn't have much money growing up from a small town, Levittown. A lot of love. My father had gotten very sick when he was young. We were on our way moving to Garden City, but it never happened. All his Chaminade buddies and stuff lived there in places. And Mom said,
you would have ended up in Garden City, Vin, and not Levittown?
Well, I had 2 houses in Garden City that were left to our family, my great aunt and stuff like that. So I actually went to church in Garden City every Sunday. I used to go to my aunt's house, my great aunt Emily, and I was at the Garden City church for many, many years. So saying all that, Mom was swimming in the pool, and after she was done, she said, "This is the greatest thing I've ever done." And just like to everybody that's out there, if they have a mother or father that's still alive and you're in your 50s or 60s, every chance you get, go see them because it's never wasted time. It's just like all of us that had parents that helped us in lacrosse and everything, man. They're the goats. They're the prize. They're everything to us, man, where we are in life, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what I would ever do without them. I wasn't good in school. All my families were big-time students. I graduated last in my class. My parents stayed with me. You know, they never gave me up. So I thank God. And the shout out goes to my parents. And I love them so much, man.
What do you say, Vin? You want to go or you want me to go?
You go.
Go. I'm making the shout out to the Southside coaches. We want to get Dito on. So I want to get Dito and even maybe Tommy Martello also. I would love to have both of them.
Oh, there's salt to the earth.
So that's my shout out. My shout out is to Dito and Tommy, our former teammates. Dito, our former coach.
Very nice, Stephen. Very nice. You get 2 shout outs, Vinny, today. I'll give you one more.
I don't want to. I didn't even say one yet. You'll give me one more. Let me think.
He killed me. Stephen, does he not pick on me more than anybody? Be honest. This guy crushes me. I have a speech impediment for 30 years, and this guy laughs at me.
I think just based on these comments, I got to give a shout out to Cheryl Smalley. That girl. Forget about it. She's getting she gets the Bronze Star. She gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. She gets every award you could give her. I'll give her to Wataton. What does he call it? How does he say it?
I can't put
I'm giving her every trophy, that girl. I don't know how she does it. She's a miracle person.
I have to say she is the GOAT. Gave me 2 kids. I don't know.
This is my shout out now.
Thank you.
Well, that's the episode. We'll be back next week. He buckled my knees at the beginning of this one. I got caught off guard with him withdrawing from Placid. That news is gonna rifle through.
Yeah, it hurts.
Oh my God.
It hurts.
I think I saw it on CNN. I think I just saw something.
Think about that. Stephen, Vinny, think about that. I went from John Tillman, arguably the greatest coach, and he's still got a little more legacy. He's arguably the greatest coach to ever coach lacrosse. He's right there. You got the Tierney, you got the other couple guys. I mean, the guy's a legend. And I'm going to John Shire, the new coach from Duke. I mean, how do you get these places? Anyway, I'm very blessed.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
We'll hit it with this goodbye music. We'll see you next week. 20 minutes. 3 eyes.